Before we dive into this episode, we wanted to take a moment to honor the memory of Cindy Lewis. We recorded this episode with Scott Lewis at Lewis Adventure Farm in June 2025 and intended to post it in early July. A few days prior to the date this episode was to go live, Scott's wife, Cindy, passed away. Out of deepest respect to the memory of Cindy and to Scott and his family, we delayed this episode. As you will hear in our interview with Scott, it was Cindy's dream that became a reality in the creation of Lewis Adventure Farm and Zoo. Her obituary says it best. Cindy was the visionary behind Lewis Adventure Farm and Zoo, a cherished destination in the community. What began as a simple farm market blossomed under her leadership into a vibrant agritourism haven filled with joy, family members, and an extraordinary love for animals. From alpacas to zebras, Cindy poured her heart into every corner of the farm, sharing her passion and warmth with all who visited. Her ever-present smile and boundless energy made her a light to everyone who crossed her path. Cindy's legacy will live on in the joy she created, the lives she touched, and the love she gave so freely. She will be deeply missed and fondly remembered by all who had the honor of knowing her. We offer our heartfelt condolences to Scott Lewis and his family and the team at Lewis Adventure Farm and Zoo and wish them all the best as they continue Cindy's legacy. You're listening to the MLCC On the Road podcast, brought to you by the Michigan Liquor Control Commission, with hosts Sarah Weber and David Marvin.
Welcome back to the MLCC on the Road podcast. I'm Sarah Weber, and with me is David Marvin, and we are excited to talk about today's podcast. Today's episode is one that David and I are really excited about. We had the opportunity last week to visit Lewis Adventure Farms and meet with one of the owners, Scott Lewis, and take a tour around his farm with him. This was a true experience for anyone who has never seen agritourism at its best.
Yes, Sarah, the time that we had over at Lewis Adventure Farm with Scott Lewis and his team was a really fun day. It was a beautiful sunny day, and we got to see a lot of really cool animals and just see his whole operation and learn about the impact that agritourism has on his business and the state as a whole. And we had some time to sit down and talk with Scott about his business and the impact of a liquor license on his business and just his dreams and hopes for his business in the future. So join us now as we share our conversation with Scott Lewis from Lewis Adventure Farms from last week and hear about all the amazing things that he's doing at his business. Today we're here in beautiful New Era, Michigan, meeting with Scott Lewis at Lewis Adventure Farm. And I would like to introduce Scott and have him tell us a little bit about his business. And first, Scott, let's talk a little bit where is New Era and what is Lewis Adventure Farm?
Sure. No, thanks for coming out, David. So Lewis Adventure Farm is located in New Era, Michigan, as you said. That is approximately 30 miles north of Muskegon, 30 miles south of Ludington. We're about 6 miles from Lake Michigan, so we're kind of in a tourist area. There's not a lot going on in Oceana County. We're primarily a rural farming community is what Oceana County is, but kind of gives you an idea on the map where we're at.
Yeah, it's a beautiful location. I mean, today you can't see it through the radio, but it's a sunny day, beautiful breeze. You can probably hear a little of that breeze, and you can hear the kids in the background. It's just a gorgeous setting you've got here.
Yeah, it's really pretty. You know, it gets out in the country, whatnot, and kind of see what agritourism is all about. So Lewis Adventure Farm is our version of agritourism. So a lot of people have never heard of agritourism, but it's a combination of farming. So we still raise 500 acres of fruit. So a lot of what we sell comes here. And so you can buy apples, cherries, peaches, pears, plums, and asparagus inside our market. And we also branched out while you're here. We have animals. We have attractions for you to play on, you know, whether it's swings, slides, jumping pillows, pedal carts, lots of different animals, apple cannons, paintball guns. So pumpkin patch in the fall, corn maze in the fall. You pick apples in the fall. So we're open 6 months, May through October, and just try and give people something unique to come and see during the summertime.
Now, down in your market, obviously, you don't grow everything that's sold in there. Do you partner with other local farms, other Michigan entities?
We try. everything we sell in there is at least Michigan grown. So we don't grow our own strawberries or blueberries, so we bring those in. But primarily what we sell in there from a produce standpoint is what we grow. So we got a neighbor that grows sweet corn for us. We haven't got into sweet corn yet, but yeah, we're not bringing stuff in from a back of a grocery truck or anything like that. So what you get here will be a Michigan grown product.
You mentioned you have 500 acres here. Is this family owned? How long has this land and area been in your...
Yeah, I'm fourth generation, so we've had this in our farms or family since about 1915. My kids are fifth generation, so I have two sons and their wives that actually work here on the farm and here at our adventure farm during the agritourism stuff. So it's definitely a family affair for us. So that'll be the next generation to take this over when we retire.
What made you decide that you wanted to branch into alcohol?
So we belong to two different organizations that are national organizations. And when we go to conferences every winter, there's been talk over years about farms that have added alcohol. It's very interesting how different it is in other states, how licenses are, how hard some are to get, how easy some are to get in relation to what the state is, what's required from different states. But talking with them, asking, has there been issues with alcohol on the farm, et cetera, and there's 99.5% of the people you talk to is absolutely zero issues having alcohol on the farm. It's that next generation. When people come here, people are not paying our admission, what we charge, to come in here to get drunk. They're coming here for a drink while they're out with their kids having a good time. Mom wants a glass of wine in her hand, selfie in the other hand with kids playing in the corn box, and that's kind of what we're after in our setup.
We've walked around with you a little bit today and checked everything out and played in the corn box, and I will attest it was a lot of fun. So if you do head out here, you should definitely try that. We also saw some exotic animals. Can you talk about those a little bit and how you came to acquire those?
Yeah, so when we originally built the farm market, the agritourism farm, we started in 2004, so it's our 21st year. We never had animals on the farm, so I was kind of green when it came to animals, but I married a city girl, and she had horses. So when she moved here, she wanted to bring her horses. I said, sorry, honey, we don't have room for horses. So once we pushed out the orchard to start the market and build an animal barn, I told her, all right, you can have some animals. So that's kind of how the old thing started, and as it's expanded, we've actually got into exotic animals. So you'll find kangaroos here, wallabies, sloths, capybaras, camels, coatimundis, African crested porcupines, along with your normal farm animals when you're here. So it's we have different species of lemurs, we have otters. So we're big enough to call ourselves a zoo, yet small enough to still be family friendly. So a lot of what you see here, you can walk right up to and touch. What's
your favorite part of your farm right now?
I think it's just seeing it's that next experience. So we always try and create experiences when you come here. So it's seeing all the kids having fun. It's the interaction. I like to think we're a lot different than a zoo because of all the attractions that we have to go along with the animals. So it kind of differentiates what we are and what we try to be. But when you come here, we want it to be a memorable experience that you have here. We want you to see stuff that you've never seen before, touch things that you've never touched before, and create memories with your family when you're here.
How many people do you have that visit every year?
So we have grown this over the years into a pretty good destination. It's taken a lot of years to get there. We do about 160,000 visitors last year. So about half of that comes in the summertime where we're located close to Lake Michigan. We get a lot of vacationers and a lot of tourists that come through this area. So that seems to be what we pull from an awful lot. Once school gets out, people start traveling, and campgrounds up and down the state right through here get a lot of visitors, and they're always looking for things to do, especially on cold days when they can't go to the lake. So that's been a nice group of people that we've been able to accommodate. And then in the fall, it's more regional. We'll get people traveling across the state to come here now because we have created enough stuff here so that you can spend 6-8 hours here without any issue whatsoever. So we finally became that destination place in our opinion, and we really get a lot of people throughout the state of Michigan now, especially in the fall.
How many people do you employ each year?
Yeah, we have 110 people on staff in the summertime and about 160 in the fall.
Wow, I would not have guessed the more in the fall than in the summer.
Because of harvesting, or is that in addition?
No, that's not including harvesting.
Oh, wow.
So that's just at the agritourism side of things. So we have so many more people here in the fall. We staff a lot of our attractions with multiple people at that time. So it just requires more people. Our food venues get busier, so we have to staff our food venues heavier. Everything gets double staffed almost in the fall weekends.
Specific to the alcohol operation, because obviously we're the Liquor Control Commission and we like to talk about our licensed businesses. How many folks do you have that are dedicated specifically to the food service and specifically the alcohol?
Yeah, I think TAM trained employees. I think we have nine TAM trained employees that are taking care of our alcohol side of things. In the food venue, just for food staff, there's probably 20 that rotate through the different food venues.
Primarily, most of your staff is dedicated to your attractions, for lack of a better word. The animal encounters.
Well, there'd be zookeepers, animal encounters, staff for our jumping pillows, pedal carts, et cetera, et cetera. That's what a lot of our manning takes place. So,
you originally tried to become licensed in 2019, and I know we always want to hear the happy part of licensing, but I would like for you to kind of go over your struggles with becoming licensed, because I think that is important for people to understand that, it's not always quick and easy. And, this is a little bit of a different type of licensing situation than what we're accustomed to in a normal everyday setting, because when people think of liquor licenses, they think of restaurants, they think of party stores. I see from a licensing director standpoint, there is a growing trend for different types of environments where alcohol is consumed now. And, this is a perfect example of that, where you have this fun situation for kids and adults, and you yourself have indicated that alcohol is just a small piece of that, whereas everything else that they encounter when they come here is the bigger picture for it. So can you kind of tell us how that went for you?
So we started our journey into trying to obtain a liquor license back in 2019, and the spring of 2019, actually, and filled out the paperwork, et cetera, et cetera. At that time, our township gave us their approval. They had no issues. We have a great relationship with our township. They said, unfortunately, we don't have any licenses available, so we were required to try and find something that fit us. So a resort license appeared to be the best option for us. And of course, resort license requires commission approval to actually get one of those. And so that's when the process all started. At that time, and even today, I guess people really don't know what agritourism is, and that's part of the issue. So people didn't understand it. As you stated, licensing a building is fairly cut and dry, and that's what most establishments are that serve alcohol are in a building with four walls and an entrance and an exit. So with us being outdoors and multiple areas to walk and whatnot, it was more of a challenge, because they didn't know what we were, even though we're fenced off from our parking lot with gates, because we do charge admission to get in here. That wasn't enough to suffice liquor control at that time, because they wanted the premise to be fully fenced and require us to man certain gates and different things that to really lock everything down. So basically, when it was all said and done, we didn't fit the criteria of what they felt comfortable with at that time. So it got put on the back burner. Once COVID hit, we proceeded to kind of let that thing ride out and go through there. And 2021, spring of 22 hit. We were coming out of COVID, so we decided it was time to try again. So we re-upped it and tried to do our licensing again. Did our application, had enforcement came out to look at the premise, and by that time our enforcement agent had already had a baby and said, "Oh wow, you're still trying to do this, huh?" And I said, "Yeah, we're still after it." And basically, I guess I'll be honest, she said, "You know what? you're not going to get the full property license. We recommend get your building licensed. Let's get you a license on premise. Let's serve your alcohol inside the building, and at least you'll have a license, and you can build a track record with the commission, and then hopefully you can increase it to your outdoor areas. So that's what we did. We requested just the four walls of our main market, and that got approved. So in 2022, we did finally get licensed for alcohol on premise. Just kept it inside the market.
And the situation had changed with the license too. Instead of a resort license that costs a little bit more and has a lot more restrictions with it, the quota opened up in your governmental units, so you were able to obtain one of those. So there was a silver lining to the initial part of that.
Yeah, truly a silver lining. By the time COVID got done, our new census had came out, so our township actually received an additional license, which allowed us to actually get a full liquor license, just like anyone else could through our township. Saved us a tremendous amount of money, so that was a great bonus, I guess, by doing that. Plus, it eliminates some of the restrictions with a resort license and the re-ups and whatnot with a resort license. So there was actually a silver lining in the whole thing. And but at the same token, just serving alcohol inside the market was not anything our guests were looking for. They weren't our guests, and we knew this. Our guests aren't coming here to drink; they're coming here to spend time with their family, and it's just it's an addition of what that next generation wants, I guess, as much as anything. They want.
It's all about the experience.
They want the full experience. They're coming here to have a glass of wine, have a beer with homemade pizza. They're coming here to walk around and watch your kids have a good time, and in turn themselves have a good time.
So when did you apply to expand your area?
So I guess spring of 23 is when we reached back out to the commission. There'd been some changes at the commission, so we felt it was a good time to try again. And by then we had a year under our belts with, of course, no issues. So we reapplied in 23 and gave all the boundaries again. So they had all the information. Nothing had changed from the previous two requests as far as boundary size and whatnot. So we reapplied. Commission met it with approval this time, and we're happy to say that our restaurant bar that we built opened in August of 24. So I guess it was 24 that we actually got that. Spring of 24. It wasn't spring of 23. So again, shows you how fast time flies. So yeah, it was spring of 24 that we actually got the full license, and it didn't go into effect until we physically opened our bar. So it didn't come on until August 15th of last year.
So obviously you have all of this going on, all of the attractions here, and you do have food and obviously the alcohol service. What portion of the business is really focused around the alcohol versus the everything else here? Ultimately, what I'm asking for is, like you said, this isn't a place for people to come and drink per se, but what does that look like from a business standpoint?
Yeah, I mean, percentage-wise, it's probably only 5% of what we're doing currently. So it's a small portion of our overall portfolio of what we're doing here with our attendance, et cetera, et cetera. But I see it growing. I see it has a potential to get bigger and bigger. Again, it just came on in August last year, but the Social Goat, which is our bar where we serve our pizza and our drinks, is one of our two main food locations now, even though we have 5 locations, 5 food options here, 5 food venues here. This is one of our main ones, so it stays open 7 days a week. And so it will become a bigger and bigger part of what we're doing here, we believe. So.
But you said, I believe you said at one point when we were walking around today that the difference in your sales from when you only had a building licensed versus your entire property kind of changed things around for you as well.
Yeah, our liquor sales were $6,000 there that first year. I mean, it was. Why did we do this? Is this out really? Maybe we did make a mistake, and this isn't as big a deal as we think it's going to be. But once people didn't want to be separate. When you come here, people aren't coming here to get separated from their family. We didn't want that. We want you to be able to walk around and enjoy the animals with your kids. We did not want dad sitting in a location where he couldn't leave, like a beer garden, for example, and mom and the kids out playing in the corny barn, or down at the ball town, or shooting the apple cans. We wanted the family to stay together. That's what it's all about when you come here. It's a family experience. So by opening the entire property up to that, it has increased our sales over just having it in the building, 100-fold the first year. So that it'll be interesting to see now that we have a full season under our belt where it really goes. But we expect it to be a bigger portion of what we're doing by far.
So what do you sell primarily for alcohol? Are you just doing beer and wine, or do you offer some spirits?
No, we have a liquor license, so we have a full license here. So we do specialty drinks, one-off cocktails that you can only get here. So there's specially named on different things that we've seen around at other facilities and made some of our own. So we will do, if someone requests a special drink, if it's, we have whiskey on premise, stuff like that. So it's not on the menu, but we will still. Do you have a favorite? I don't. I'm a whiskey and Coke kind of guy, so I'm pretty a boring guy. So, but yeah, it's interesting to see. Some of our specialty drinks are very popular. We do freak shakes here, for example. So a lot of what people will come here for is they'll buy a freak shake, and do a selfie to put on their Instagram,
What's in a freak shake?
Yes. What is a freak shake?
So we have multiple different ones, it's hand dipped ice cream, it could have a cheesecake sticking out of it. It could have donuts coming out of it. There's a handful that we offer that are in a mason jar glass you get to take home with you as a souvenir. And
are these non-alcoholic, or are they
non-alcoholic?
Okay, so there's not an alcoholic version.
There
not
could
yet?
Be one coming down the road. So that's definitely something my manager would like to see. We also have a coffee truck coming online too. We actually have a high-end coffee that we're bringing in. The truck is coming from Argentina. It's actually built in Argentina, so it'll be here in 2 weeks, actually. So
so you're really covering your bases with the moms and the dads then, with the coffee specialties and your shakes and
it's all that stuff. We really don't care what we bring in if it makes sense for us and it's something that our guests want. Why not have it here? So it just opens us up and opens our guests up to a better experience.
Well, and that's just, as we're talking, I just keep looking around at everything that somebody can do here. And I keep going back to my kids and my nephews and nieces could spend an entire day here and not get bored.
No, and that's what it's all about. And I think we get nicked a little bit as, well, this is a great experience for children, and that's a lot of what we'll hear from people. And we, I don't want to say adding alcohol helps with the adults, but to some extent it helps with the adults. And I'm not going to lie, it's just more things so that we cover more of our bases on our guests that want to come here. So,
but even looking at the tractors right now, the people riding around, and even the ball games and everything, you have more adults doing them than the kids.
Absolutely.
So even feeding the animals, it's because it's so easy, and you have such great animal encounters that. Those are the things that even adults coming in, they didn't get to do that as kids. No. So it's almost as fun, if not more, for them than it is for the kids at this point.
They won't admit it sometimes, but they say, well, I don't have any kids. I can't go to Lewis Farms. And I always tell them, no, you absolutely can come to Lewis Farms. You don't have to have a kid to come to Lewis Farms. Just you saw those two adults' faces when we had the armadillo out, and just the experience of getting to hold an armadillo and get a picture taken with it, or the adults in the parakeet building when the parakeets are landing on sticks, or your faces when the parakeets landed on your sticks. It's just a great experience, and I keep going back to that, and I wear that phrase out, but that's what it's about when you come here. It's about experiences.
Well, I'm really glad that you were able to walk around with us this morning and we were able to get your story. That's what is important to us, are the experiences when we can talk to people who we've licensed, or even as they're working through the licensing process. It's really an honor to be able to meet you and see what you've created here, because it's amazing.
I think it's great that you're doing these and getting out into the public and going to some of the areas that you have licensed and whatnot, because I think it makes you human, I guess. I realize that's going to sound kind of weird to say, but when we're applying for these licenses, you can do it on your own, or you're hiring a lawyer to do it, and it feels like there's this big wall between liquor control and who they're trying to license, and it shouldn't be that way. I mean, we're trying to do it right. We want to do it right. We want to work with you and follow all the rules, but at the same token, I'm happy to see you guys out here learning what some of these new venues are like and what agritourism is, for one example of what's coming down the pipe more and more, to really understand it better. And I think it makes you guys look human. So I appreciate you being here.
Scott, if you were sitting here across from someone like yourself who wanted to do something like this and didn't know where to start from the liquor control standpoint, not necessarily the animals. We're not animal experts by any means, and they were said, hey, we have a venue similar to what you have, and we want to get a liquor license. Is there any one tip or suggestion or recommendation that you would say, hey, here's what you need to do to take into consideration when you're entering this new endeavor, this new thing that you want to do as a part of your venture?
So I guess we didn't know direction-wise how to do it. So we actually reached out to Scott Ellis, and he is in charge of, what's the name of that?
It's the Michigan Licensed Beverage Association.
Okay. So basically bars and restaurants across the state are members of his association, and to be perfectly honest, he helped guide us. He has contacts within liquor control that he was able to reach out to and ask some questions that we didn't know who to ask to. So becoming a member of that association was probably the key for us to continue marching down the path that we did for as long as we did. I think if it wasn't for Scott and his relationship we built with him, it probably would have been a lot harder, and we probably would have gave up, to be perfectly honest, in the beginning. But kept reaching out to him and said, all right, we're going to try again. I've been talking to this person, that person, and I think we found an avenue that we can help you with, and that to me was probably the single biggest thing that helped me break down some doors and find some people within liquor control that were willing to listen and understand what we were.
And Scott is a strong advocate for the members of the MLBA, and he works closely with Sarah, myself, our business manager, Carrie. There probably isn't a week that, at least I know, that I don't talk to Scott. When it's not, I feel like, what's going on? He might be on vacation. But Scott is
a great advocate for everyone who...
It is. He actually came out with his family here during the process. He happened to be staying out Silver Lake, and they came over and was their first time here, and they had a fabulous time. But anytime you can get somebody like that or yourselves out to see what an establishment's trying to do, what they're all about. I'm not saying there's not some bad eggs out there, and you have to do your due diligence, but there's a lot of good venues out there that are doing it right and just want to add to the experience of what they're trying to do.
Well, Scott, thank you very much for sitting out here on a breezy summer day or a breezy spring day and talking with us today about Lewis Adventure Farms and the amazing things that you're doing here. We appreciate you taking the time and showing us around. We really appreciate you giving us a great tour and introducing us to some of your animals here. And we appreciate the hard work that you're doing over here, promoting Michigan agritourism and being a good licensee. And we wish you all the best and hope that you have a wonderful summer. It's just the start here, and that you double those numbers that you had from last year. And we hope to be back soon sometime.
Nope, that's great. Nope, whether you're in your capacity or bringing out your grandkids or kids, we'd love to have you. So,
thank you very much.
Thank you. If you've never visited Lewis Adventure Farms, we highly recommend you do so. There's a lot to do for anyone of any age, and even if you feel like you've been to every zoo that you've ever been to, this is a very true hands-on experience across the entire farm, and it was just so much fun to be there and be able to talk to everyone who worked there. They're friendly. The staff knows a lot and are very knowledgeable, and it's very clean. And that is something that Scott Lewis was very passionate about, and wanting to make sure that everyone has a truly incredible experience when they go there. And the theming down to their landscaping was amazing to me. And for anyone who knows me, I'm a huge Disney fanatic. And one of the things I love about visiting parks is the theming that takes place. So when I say that the theming at Lewis Adventure Farms is fantastic, I mean that from the bottom of my heart. It was a wonderful experience, and I can't wait to go back and take my family.
Yes, Sarah, it was a wonderful day at Lewis Adventure Farms, and we thank Scott Lewis for being a wonderful host and showing us everything that he has to offer there, and we wish him all the best for a successful summer and fall season this year. And with that, we hope you enjoyed the episode, and we'll tune back in soon. Thank you, and have a good day. The MLCC On the Road podcast is brought to you by the Michigan Liquor Control Commission. For more information on the Michigan Liquor Control Commission, please visit our website at www.michigan.gov/LCC. Thank you for listening.